and he has recruited the pirates. And he mentions Zuko, implying that he wants them to deal with Zuko one way or another. Dun dun dun. So we have
Dun dun
Zhao
dun.
being all duplicitous.
Mm-hmm.
We get back to Katara, who goes in for a healing lesson. It's the classroom full of all young girls, which like you can tell that this like bothers Katara.
It's
Like
so cute. It's such a
she
cute little moment.
she you could tell that she definitely feels like they're like relegated off to the
Mm-hmm.
side and like not allowed to, learn waterbending outside of healing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so there's that. We get Aang with Paku and like him beginning to learn waterbending from a master, which is nice. And then when we're back with Katara, we get Yagoda asking Katara about her necklace, which is a betrothal necklace. We then learn,
Mm-hmm.
and Katara explains that it was her grandmother's and then her mother's. And Yagoda says that she knew Kana, which is Katara's grand's name, which I don't think we had that before. Like
No, we didn't learn that
she was
before, I
just
don't
she was
think.
just grand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so we get her name, which is interesting, and we also learned that she was born in the northern tribe and was betrothed to a man and then left, and they're unsure why she left.
Ooh.
Wonder if this will
Oh.
come back up later.
I
Probably yes.
wonder if this is useful.
We go back to Zuko. Iroh goes to Zuko's
My
room
God, pardon.
to say goodbye and is like, Zuko's like, good riddance to those traitors, to his men, then gonna go with Zhao, which like he's just so dramatic at all times, and it's
He's so
amazing.
emo. I love
Yeah.
Zuko.
Like he's just laying on his
He's such
bed,
like
like
he's a typical teenage boy. And I love
yeah,
that Ira like is always trying to be like, you can come out with us if you want. Like we'll be
yeah,
waiting for you. And he's like, oh.
yeah. He literally
He's
is
like, okay,
like
then
you
just
can.
sit in your room and
He's like
sulk. That's also a
it's
great idea.
it's a nice night for a walk, or you can just sit in your room in the dark. That's fine too. Like whatever makes you happy. And like Zuko just stays there.
So cute. Like
Um,
in high school, my parents have said probably that exact sentence to me.
and you're like, no, I'm fine. I'll just
So
sit.
real. Like I want to sit in the dark.
So as Iroh leaves, we see the parrots fly by, which signal that they're there, and the pirates sneak aboard Zuko's ship with blasting jelly, and they're like putting all the blasting jelly around the ship. We get them squeaking one of the doors, which like alarms Zuko, and he like comes out into the halls. And as this is all happening, the pirates light the bomb and leave the ship. And Zuko sees the parrot, which looks. This reminded me of a few episodes ago, the fish that got super
Mm-hmm.
animated, like for a couple
Yes.
frames. There's so much detail in the parrot in the shot.
In the
It's
parrot,
wild.
he's so scary in that shot. I forget how like
He's
menacing. What is he mixed with again? Did we ever figure that out?
Yeah, and I can't remember, but like he
Iguana?
is. Yes,
Parrot
I
iguana?
believe so. Yeah, that sounds right.
I can
But
refer to. I think it's in the book.
probably
It
is.
might take me a second though to find that.
It should be like page 79 or something, somewhere around there. But yeah, he is.
Keep talking. I'll
He,
find it.
he was not this creepy in the main pirate episode. Like, there's
He was
no
not
way.
that creepy.
They definitely
No, he's not in
they ham
this.
up his scare factor quite a bit for this shot, which I mean, like it works.
Whatever.
It sets the mood. You're like, oh, this is very um, ominous and intimidating. And
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, we get the entire ship blowing up. I love the way they do this explosion and the stereotypical. You get like five different angles of the explosion happening.
Yes.
Like it like explodes
Yes.
and then like cut to a different angle and explodes, and then cut to a different. Like it just does it a handful of times, and then we see Iroh turning and seeing that the ship has exploded, and he's like, "Oh no, Zuko," and like acting and like, "No,"
That
which
like
is it's
made
so
me so
dramatic.
sad. I was like, I can't imagine like Iroh's first thought if he actually thought that he like
Yeah,
could have died. I was
which it's really
when I was watching this, I got so emotional. I was like, wait, I don't even want to think about that.
it's really funny in hindsight thinking about it because like spoiler alert, he's not dead.
Like,
This
he
was
knows.
part of it, and this was a part of a plan. And so
Yeah.
like the fact that Ira's reacting like this is hilarious because like who's he acting for? Like there's not
Yeah, who is he acting for?
there's no one
I think in
around.
the live action, he also does that. I'm like, why are you doing the acting? We
Yeah,
know,
like
you know the
it's
plan.
not. Yeah, it's okay. Um,
Hmm.
we go back to the gang. Sokka meets with Yue at the bridge, and he gives him a terrible, terrible carving of a fish that definitely looks like a bear.
It's so
And
cute.
then Yue immediately gets sad and runs away, and because she's like, "I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be doing this." And so then we go back to the camp with Aang and Katara. He tells them about like Sokka tells them about his problems with UA.
Mhm.
Aang vents about his waterbending master. Katara is venting about just being able, like, part of the healing. And then Katara's like, oh, like, or Sokka, I believe, is like, oh, you could show, like, Katara how to waterbend. And he's like, oh, that's a great idea. And
Mm.
Katara's like, I don't know why I didn't think of that. Like, Aang, then you'll have someone to practice the things you learned with, and all of us will still get to learn waterbending. And so they go outside to start to practice. And then, of course, Paku is up on the bridge and sees them. And I love how dramatic
Mm-mm-mm.
he is. He's like, you've dishonored me, my lessons, and my entire
Yeah.
culture. I'm like, dude, chill. It's
Chill.
fine. Like, it's not that big of a deal, actually. Like, you're okay.
Dude hates.
Um,
He had one breakup in 7th grade and he has hated women ever since.
no, 100%. That's exactly what happened. Like, um, and he's like, I will no longer teach you, essentially. And then the next day they approach the tribal leader. They don't
They
really,
never
I guess
say his name, I don't
like
think.
his title. Yeah. It's
Yeah, his
just
title.
like,
I think later on though they call him chief. So I think he's referred to as a chief,
which is interesting because Yue's the princess.
a princess. But technically Katara and Sokka are also
They're not though,
princes and
because
princes.
Sokka,
But they're
like,
not.
he's like, I'm a prince, and
He
she's like,
does
of
joke
what?
about it.
She's
But like
like,
technically he is because he's the son of the chief of the tribe.
yeah, but that's what
Right?
I'm
I
saying
don't
is
know
that,
how
like,
that
it doesn't
works. I
make
don't know.
sense, like, where you get the prince and princess title from not a king and queen,
Yeah.
like it's not, it doesn't really track that much. So I'm
It's
like,
fantasy, Alex.
but they
Just let it
but they
happen. It's
definitely,
fantasy.
no, but it's so
It's
funny
all
though,
made
because in the
up.
water tribe, like, they're chiefs, and then they have the princes and princesses, but then in the earth kingdom, like, they do have the king and queen of the earth kingdom.
They do. I
But
wonder if this is just how the Water Tribe does it here in the
and
north.
then, I mean, the Fire Nation is just the Fire Lord, so they have
Yeah.
lords as opposed to kings, which
And
is,
Prince
and
Zuko.
then obviously the air nomads are
We don't
just
need to think
the
about it too
monks.
hard.
They're just throwing titles all over the place. It's
We're just
fine.
throwing titles. Yeah. I'll accept it.
So, but yeah, they're like, what do you want me to, like, force Master Paku to, like, teach him again? And they're like, yeah, which I think is so
Yeah, they're
funny.
like, yes,
They're
you're
like,
the
yeah,
leader.
that's
Tell
exactly
him
what
to
we
do
want.
that.
And he's like, well, maybe if Katara apologizes to Paku, then we'll, like, let him do it. And she's like, okay. And then it, like, comes time to do it, and she's like, nah.
She's like, fuck this guy.
She's like,
I
absolutely not.
love her in these episodes. This is peak feminism. When I was a kid, I saw this and I was like, oh my God, yes. This is how I should talk to every man.
She's like, I'm not gonna apologize to this old fart, essentially.
Hell yeah, girl.
And it's like,
Hell yeah.
I'll be outside if you want to throw hands. And, like, it's so good. And so she goes outside, and then Paku, and initially, okay, getting ahead of myself. Before this, we cut back to Iroh. There's a lot of back and forth in this episode. This is one of the ones, like,
Yeah,
I feel like they did this a lot in the earlier episodes in the season 2, where, like, there was a pretty constant, like, back and forth. That happens a lot in this
which
one
I
as
like.
well,
It
where, like,
really keeps the pace up. You get an update on each person. It's kind of
yeah,
like
it's nice.
like, you know, like the Game of Thrones layout, how they cut, but that obviously takes longer, but we get a kind of
we'll have whole
update of
episodes.
where everybody's at.
Yeah, it's nice. It's
Yeah.
like a balancing of the different stories, the different plot lines. So we're back with Iroh. Zhao has Iroh for tea, saying that he's devastated to learn about Zuko, of course. And Iroh being like, oh, the Fire Lord's not going to be pleased when he learns who's responsible. And Zhao's like, oh, you know who it was? And Iroh's like, yeah, the pirates.
He's
We
like
had a run-in
nervous
with
for
them.
something.
Yeah, and Zhao's like, yeah, he's buying it. Cool. Like, and
Yeah. Hey, Aspect listener. Enjoying the show?
Then be sure to subscribe here on The Aspect so you never miss an episode.
And check out more episodes and clips on our playlist here.
Thanks so much for watching, and
Lameo Hotman.